From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Vice President Kashim Shettima addresses the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, pushes for a permanent seat for Nigeria at the UN Security Council. Nigeria's former permanent representative to the United Nations, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, urges Nigeria to reassert its leadership influence on the global stage. Former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, challenges new lawyers to uphold the integrity of the legal profession. And a court in Paris finds former French President Nicolas Sarkozy guilty of criminal conspiracy involving millions of euros in illicit funds from former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi.
And on business, Nigeria's upstream oil regulator greenlights Total Energy's $510 million divestment deal.
On sports news tonight, Nigeria confident of winning the bids to host the 2030 Commonwealth Games following successful defense at Commonwealth Sports Office in London.
And from the nation's capital, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, vows to transform Abuja into a world-class city.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has called for a permanent seat for Nigeria at the UN Security Council as part of a wider process of institutional reform of the United Nations. Addressing world leaders during the general debate of the 80th UN General Assembly, the Vice President also proposed radical reforms to the global financial system, calling for new mechanisms to address the sovereign debt crisis plaguing developing nations. Our status correspondent Larry Lasisi has this report.
Negotiate truces.
It's the second day of general debate at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. One after the other, leaders rise to address those gathered, speaking with passion and great resolve.
Powerful are righteous.
Eventually, it's the turn of Nigeria.
The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Kashim Shettima.
Vice President Kashim Shettima, who is representing President Bola Tinubu at the event, emphasized that the occasion of the Union's 80th anniversary calls for frank introspection. He proposes 4 key reforms needed by the Union. Key is the need for structural reform of the United Nations and a permanent seat on the UN Security Council for Nigeria.
Our case for permanent seat at the Security Council is a demand for fairness, for representation, and for reform that restores credibility to the very institution upon which the hope of multilateralism rests.
He states clearly Nigeria's position on the conflict in the Middle East.
We do not believe that the sanctity of human life should be trapped in the corridors of endless debate. That is why we say, without stuttering and without doubt, that a two-state solution remains the most dignified path to lasting peace for the people of Palestine. The people of Palestine are not collateral damage in a civilization searching for order. They are human beings, equal in worth, entitled to the same freedoms and dignities that the rest of us take for granted.
Radical reforms to the global financial system is also proposed.
I'm calling for new and binding mechanism to manage sovereign debt, a sort of international court of justice for money that will allow emerging economies to escape the economic straitjacket of primary production of unprocessed exports. It has been over 4 decades since the Lagos Plan of Action outlined a route away from debt and dependence that highlighted opportunities that today should still be explored for local added value for processing and manufacturing in everything from agriculture to solid minerals and petrochemicals.
He insists that countries producing strategic minerals must benefit fairly from those minerals in terms of investment, partnership, local processing, and jobs, and for the closing of the digital divide across the world. Ending, he says, for none of us is safe until all of us are safe.
The road ahead will not be easy, and we know there are no quick fixes to the trials that test the human spirit. I thank you.
Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Now, with Vice President Shettima's address to the General Assembly done, former Chief of Staff to the President and Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, has called for Nigeria to reassert its leadership role in global affairs. Speaking with Laolu Akonde on our current affairs program, Inside Sources, on the sidelines of the ongoing UN General Assembly in New York, Professor Gambari recalled Nigeria's significant contributions to African liberation struggles, peacekeeping missions, and the fight against apartheid. He warned that Nigeria's absence from strong leadership in international diplomacy creates a vacuum, often forcing smaller African nations to shoulder responsibilities beyond their capacity.
I have to step up because I recall, and so sometimes you are not supposed to divulge private conversation with heads of states in the course of your duty. But I remember very well when I was dealing with Darfur that the President Kagame had the largest troops was the largest troop contributor to our troops. And the first commander who came from Rwanda. UNAMID.
But the Nigerians were also there, though.
Nigeria was there, but we used to be the largest. They overtook us.
Okay.
And then compensated by having a Nigerian myself as the overall head. And in the course, I have to visit him many times. And honestly, he sometimes calls me aside and said, look, Nigeria, you are forcing me to punch above my weight. I'm after all the president of Rwanda. Where is Nigeria? Because when Nigeria is absent, it then forces countries smaller who don't have the same weight, you know, as Nigeria. So clearly it's a responsibility. And Nigeria, successful Nigerian government have kind of undertook to play that leadership role in Africa. Without us, maybe Angola, MPLA would not have been admitted as a member of the Organization of African Unity. Without us, Western Sahara would not be a member today. Apartheid, we had 25 years of leadership of the Special Committee Against Apartheid. I was the last in a long line of ambassadors. And we made some sacrifice in all of this, you know. So that's the expectation of the rest of the continent. And that is the expectation of most Nigerians. They want to see their country, and I think in soccer illustrates it, but our people like us to win, to be among the leaders, and to our voices to be heard, you know, and to champion the cause of reform of the United Nations with a permanent, at least, you know, 2 permanent seats for Africa, with all the rights and privileges of the Security Council. Now, and sometimes even the smaller African countries always like to hide behind or to say, and you know, it's these Nigerians, you know, they are the one, they go back to say, don't mind them, but they are proud that at least we are the vanguard. That must never be allowed to fall.
You can watch the full interview with Professor Gambari and the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, on Inside Sources this Friday at 11:30 a.m. There's more on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. Stakeholders from across government, diplomacy and the diaspora have commended Nigeria for its compelling showcase of progress and vision at a high-level event. This event, which took place at the Nigeria Mission House in New York, was convened under the banner UNGA 80, Renewed Hope Global, and widely described as a milestone in Nigeria's renewed engagement with the global community.
It was the talk of the town in New York City as Nigeria stole the spotlight at the United Nations General Assembly UNGA 80 with its highly anticipated side event hosted at the Nigeria Mission House. The atmosphere is captivating as the world turned its attention to Nigeria's vision, progress, and renewed hope for the future.
Lagos shines as it serves markets and fertile soil.
The event, organized by Prince Ade Omole, who is a diasporan leader, and his team, attracted an impressive array of very important personalities and thought leaders, including His Royal Highness Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, the Governor of Kaduna State, Senator Uba Sani, the Coordinating Minister of Health, Muhammad Ali Pate, among other dignitaries. From digital transformation and identity management to youth empowerment, social safety nets, science and technology innovation, emergency management and financial inclusion, the discussions here painted a vivid picture of a Nigeria that is advancing in reforms, scaling innovation, and charting an ambitious path to prosperity.
Nigeria's beauty is ours.
The message from this sideline event at the ongoing UNGA 80 in New York City is clear. Nigeria is on the rise, and President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda is delivering results. This array of thought leaders is arguably a powerful statement of Nigeria's confidence, capacity, and commitment to global leadership.
And just a reminder, in case you didn't know, that this year the United Nations turns 80. Now, the UN 80 initiative aims to build on reforms within the institution and chart the way forward for its future. Our foreign affairs correspondent, Amarachi Ubani, examines recurring themes at the UNGA at 80.
The United Nations, the umbrella body for many countries of the world, where alliances are made and villains are warned. 80 years since its establishment, it has come a time for reflection.
What kind of world do we choose to build together?
In his opening remarks to the General Assembly, Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the world itself has changed and entered into an age of reckless disruption.
We have entered in an age of reckless disruption and relentless human suffering. Look around. The principles of the United Nations that you have established are under siege. Listen, the pillars of peace and progress are buckling under the weight of impunity, inequality, and indifference.
The remedy, in his opinion, is for leaders to determine the kind of world they need to make over the next 80 years.
What kind of world will we choose? A world of raw power or a world of laws? A world that is a scramble for self-interest or a world where nations come together? A world where might makes right or a world of rights for all?
But US President Donald Trump questions the effectiveness of the UN, saying it has not come close to living up to its potential.
What is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war.
For other countries, reforms is a must. The current UN does not reflect the present changes nor challenges.
But gender representation is not enough. What we must achieve is actual gender equity because it benefits not only women and girls, but entire societies. True equity requires systemic change, and so women's empowerment must remain at the heart of our global agenda.
African leaders have also increased calls for Security Council reforms, with Africa given a permanent seat at the Security Council.
Nigeria must have a permanent seat at the UN Security Council. This should take place. This should take place as part of a wider process of institutional reform.
Institutions rarely fail because they lack vision or ideals. More often, they drift into irrelevance when they do not adapt, when they hesitate to act, and when they lose legitimacy.
At the end of this year's General Assembly, individual countries will assess gains by the outcomes of the bilaterals and partnerships fostered, which will guide relations over the next year, until 2026, when they gather again for another General Assembly. Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
In part two, after the break, former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, challenges new lawyers to uphold the integrity of the legal profession. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 live in Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima addresses the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, pushes for a permanent seat for Nigeria at the UN Security Council. Nigeria's former permanent representative to the UN, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, urges Nigeria to reassert its leadership influence on the global stage. Former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, challenges new lawyers to uphold the integrity of the legal profession. And a court in Paris finds former French President Nicolas Sarkozy guilty of criminal conspiracy involving millions of euros in illicit funds from former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. We're back here in Nigeria, where the chairman of Body of Benchers, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, is urging newly conferred lawyers to uphold the integrity of the legal profession to avoid sanctions. At a call to bar ceremony in Abuja, he further advised them to conduct themselves in a manner that will not obstruct the administration of justice in the country. Our correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, tells us more.
Sincerely and heartily congratulate all the successful candidates.
New lawyers ready for their introduction into the Nigerian legal profession. 1,471 of them who successfully completed the June 2025 bar final examinations and 8 candidates from the previous call are participating in this ceremony.
The entire Nigerian law school community.
They are accompanied by their families and friends. Members of the Body of Benchers, led by its chairman, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, file into the hall. Those in attendance include past justices of the Supreme Court, senior advocates of Nigeria, and other live benchers.
Herein present, several laid to the bar as barristers and solicitors.
The chairman thereafter admits the new wig into the bar.
You may now put on your wigs. After me.
The new wigs take the pledge of profession.
I pledge to commit myself as a legal practitioner to persevere, protect, so help me God. May the Lord help you.
Justice Ariwola reminded the new lawyers to uphold the tenets of the profession.
I therefore urge you, as lawyers, to always demonstrate the highest level of professional ethics and decorum wherever you find yourself and uphold the honor and dignity of the profession.
He urged them to avoid actions that are capable of attracting queries and sanctions from the disciplinary committee of the profession.
From January 2025, 1 lawyer was disbarred. 8 lawyers were suspended from practice. I urge you to endeavor to always abide by the rules of professional conduct so that you will have no case to answer before this committee.
Earlier, the Director General of the Nigerian Law School spoke on the progress made by the school and extending its training to other African countries.
The school also contributed to the training of legal manpower for our sister African countries, like the Republic of Gambia, the Republic of Sierra Leone, the Republic of Cameroon. A number of countries from the East and West Africa have visited the law school to solicit information and assistance. on the establishment and development of their law schools.
Awards represented to exceptional new weeks.
For this September 2025 call to bar ceremony goes to Atta Benedict Ushahemba. And I have been mandated by the chairman of the body of benchers to invite his parents to join.
Thursday's ceremony marks the end of the 3-day program, which has seen a total of 4,437 candidates, according to the Nigerian Bar Association. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Channels Television to enhance the agency's agenda for sustainable development in Nigeria. The MOU was signed at the Channels Television headquarters in Lagos, where the UNDP resident representative, Elsie Atafua, was received by the chairman, Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, and an entourage of general managers, legal counsel, and head of the diplomatic and foreign desk. The fruit of the partnership will be seen through impactful, cost-effective advocacy, public engagement, digital content on development issues, and success stories to promote peace, unity, and prosperity. The UNDP resident representative explained she was looking forward to the partnership opening up opportunities for young Nigerians and innovators and the resulting prosperity for Nigeria. Dr. Momo assured the UNDP that Channels Television will always be at the forefront in shaping world affairs and helping the youth achieve their goals.
This is going to be an interesting one. We'll continue in the fashion and in the spirit of the relationship that we've always had with the UNDP, and we just want things to be better in a world that is so supposedly tumultuous at this moment. Let's see what we can do to contribute our own quota to make sure that things we can play our role in shaping world affairs and helping the youths in particular to know how to get on in life and achieve their goals. So this is very, very important to us, and we're very, very delighted and happy to have signed this and to welcome you all to the Channels Media Group.
We're living in time of uncertainty. Whether it's wars, whether it's economic volatility, but at the same time, we're also living in times of opportunities, technological advancement, demographic dividend, and so on. But we're also living in a time of contested influence, where everybody is trying to influence. And influence comes through ideas and values and narratives. And I think the role that media plays and the role that channels will play in this will be crucial in terms of how we amplify the voices of things that are happening here in Nigeria and in Africa. Innovation, that's why we brought young people here today to tell their stories. How do we tell their stories? But also, how do we shape public narratives on certain key issues? Because it can go either way.
Yeah.
And how do we use, whether it's through investigative journalism, whether it's through, expert dialogue, why it's an imperative for us to focus, for example, on energy, and things like that becomes important.
Party politics is in focus now. The coalition opposition movement, led by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Senator David Mark, former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi, and former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, has suspended all ongoing efforts to register the All Democratic Alliance with the Electoral Commission. The resolution followed a closed-door meeting convened by the African Democratic Congress National Chairman, Senator David Mark, with key figures including Mr. Amechi, Mr. El-Rufai, Mr. Peter Obi, former Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal, and other opposition leaders in attendance. According to the ADC National Publicity Secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi, participants unanimously agreed to back whoever emerges as their party's presidential candidate in the upcoming general elections. It further says that members have been directed to resign from other political parties and fully align with the ADC. Before now, in July, the coalition adopted the ADC as its joint platform to challenge the ruling government, that's the APC, come 2027. And now let's head to the nation's capital, where Terry Kumi is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Terry.
Well, hi, Ayo. Thank you very much. Abuja will stand shoulder to shoulder with some of the world's best cities before the end of President Bola Tinubu's first tenure. That assurance is coming from the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike at the flag off of a major road project linking the Obafemi Awolowo Way to the Airport Expressway, a design known as Solomon Lar Way. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
This is another flag-off ceremony by the Federal Capital Territory Administration for the construction of the arterial road N20, known as Solomon Lar Highway, linking Obafemi Awolowo Way to the Airport Expressway. The road is expected to boost connectivity, reduce travel time, and attract new investments. The event attracted federal lawmakers, traditional rulers, top officials, party leaders, and security agencies. The road is expected to create jobs, raise property values, and improve access across the city along the corridor that leads to the airport.
When completed, the road will significantly reduce traffic congestion from phase 2 districts like Wuye, Jabi, Utako, Daikibu, and Kukwaba, as well as the sector centers it connects, which will provide a quick exit to the development sectors, particularly sector center B, which is where you have the Jabi Motor Park area and so on.
The administration remains committed to delivering more transformative projects that promote economic growth, enhance social welfare, and create opportunity for all citizens in the territory.
The FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, said the road project fits directly into President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda and promised Abuja would compete with leading cities globally.
I want to assure the residents of Abuja, by the grace of God, before the first tenure of Mr. President ends, Abuja will compete with most of the cities of the world. That is a bank draft I have given to you to go home.
He also reiterated his commitment to ensure that development in Abuja cuts across all sectors and communities.
We have very massively started again to reconstruct most of the schools. Now we are also entering into the health sector. I have said that no sector will be left untouched. We will make sure every sector is given the attention that is required.
The project is then formally flagged off by the minister in company of dignitaries, as the minister described the project as a transformational step for the capital city. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's upstream oil regulator greenlights Total Energy's $510 million divestment deal. Well, that's on business news. Do stay with us. Welcome back to the news at 10. Now, Nigerian leaders have been urged to emulate the virtues of honesty, forgiveness, and dedication to duty and country, as exemplified by the life of the former Minister of Agriculture, Chief Audu. First was the submission of friends, political associates, and the clergy at the Requiem Mass in honor of the former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Abuja. Our correspondent, Delio Moyeni, reports.
It's a solemn atmosphere at this Requiem Mass in honor of a politician, farmer, teacher, husband, father, grandfather, and devout Catholic, Chief Audu, at the Church of Assumption, Asokoro, Abuja. A former president, 2 former Senate presidents, family, political associates, and lifelong friends gathered to pray for the repose of his soul. In his message, the parish priest, Reverend Father Stephen O'Malley, charges those in attendance to live life mindful of what will be said about them when the time comes.
So we are gathered first of all to pray
for the repose of the soul of late Chief Audu innocent. We are also gathered to reflect on our own lives too, because it is every day someone that you will see how it's going to be when the water comes. If this day you have given the opportunity to reflect on how we have lived your life, to reflect on what will let it happen when the time comes and we are all up to come and move.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan, the church, and political associates share their memories of him.
Just a nice person. And of course I knew that the circumstances that led him to resign from chairman of PDP was not very complimentary. But still, he moved on. For me and him, we continue our relationship firstly until the president. And whenever he wants to see me in form, and sometimes when the one about just discussing national issues.
Practice their politics combined with morality. It's not enough to just do politics excluding faith and morality. And when we talk of faith, we're not talking of fundamentalist type of faith. No, a constructive faith whereby love of neighbor, doing good and doing the right thing for the society is what matters.
He displayed courage to the then President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. When he stood behind me as governor of Anambra State in my fight against the Godfathers, I don't want to talk about Godfatherism, but without Ogbeh giving me the backing of the party, Anambra will not be what it is today, because we beheaded Godfatherism and replaced it with good governance, laid foundation.
Chief Audu will be laid to rest at his hometown of Efugu-Tupa in Benue State on Friday, the 26th of September, 2025. Daily Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
Now, as part of its corporate social responsibility and in compliance with the Petroleum Industry Act, Total Energies has completed and handed over 9 infrastructural projects to various host communities in Ogbeh Mandoni local government area of Rivers State. Speaking during the event in Ogbeh, Managing Director of Total Energies upstream companies in Nigeria, Machu Boye, says the company is committed to the development of their host communities through the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act.
Government officials and members of the Host Community Development Trust gather at the community school Ogbeh in Ogbeh Mandoni local government area of Rivers State for the official commissioning and handover of a brand new 18-classroom building by Total Energies.
God the Son and God the Holy Spirit. Amen.
During a tour of the facilities, the Deputy Governor of Rivers State, Professor Audu, appreciates Total and other partners for their commitment to the community's development.
What we're witnessing today is unprecedented. Commissioning over 10 projects, flagging off over 10 projects is unprecedented in one day, in one area within EGI. It's an amazing thing, and I think I commend all of you, from Total to the senators, to the House of Reps, to the partners, to my son, Hobson, and to the community people, because you can see an array of joy, because we are all working in the same direction.
While the managing director reiterates the company's resolve to the PIA and the Host Community Development Trust, HCDT, he states that their 9 projects will impact 30,000 people.
This HCDT is a yearly contribution, so that's certainly a milestone. It's not the end at all. It's a milestone, and there will be more, because every year our aim is to contribute so that we can grow a project like this one. I mean, 900 students in the school this morning is quite significant. There's a hospital we will commission today. There's another school. So you see, overall, we'll impact 30,000 people with those 9 projects. So that's a material contribution to the communities and a milestone to the sustainable common journey somehow.
Speaking further, he stresses that the HCDT chooses the projects themselves in a way that positively impacts the community.
I think that's a very positive thing about HCDT, that those projects are chosen by the communities themselves. So once we create this trust, there is then a collegial, a collective decision on which project we want to focus on, and then eventually these are the communities who are deciding where they want to allocate the funds, where they want to allocate the efforts and the energy. So I think that's the best way of success, because at the end this is a decision to have a school, to have a hospital, so that it benefits the communities around.
Some of Total's commissioned projects include a 2-story building of 18 classroom blocks in Ogbeh, a remodeled 20-bed cottage hospital fully equipped with diagnostic facilities, an ultra-modern civic center, new roads, a bottled water factory in Ama community with upgrades to Akabuka North and South primary schools, among others. Charles Opurum, Channels Television News.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. Business News is next with Willie Bonk in Lagos.
Thank you, Terry. Now, still staying with Total Energies, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPLC, has approved Total Energies' $510 million divestment in All Mining Lease 118. Under the deal, Shell will acquire 10% for $408 million, while Agip takes 2.5% for $102 million. The Commission says Shell's financial capacity and technical competence were verified, and both Shell and Agip will take on decommissioning and abandonment liabilities previously owned by Total Energies to the federal government. The regulator stresses the deal is subject to ministerial consent, with the buyers required to pay 5% and 2% of the transaction value as premium and processing fees. Now, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, cooking gas became cheaper in August, and the average price of a 5-kilogram refill dropped to 6,404 naira from 8,243 naira in July, representing a 22% fall, while a 12.5-kilogram refill also slid to 16,195 naira from 20,609 naira. Now, the NBS report shows a slight year-on-year dip in the 5-kilogram price, while the 12.5-kilogram climbed 4% compared to last year. A state comparison shows Katsina posted the highest 5-kilogram refill at 6,945 naira, while Delta recorded the lowest at 5,657 naira. For 12.5 kilogram, Yobe topped at 16,887 naira, with Benue the cheapest at 15,102 naira. The Debt Management Office, DMO, is set to raise 200 billion naira in bonds this September, and the auction is scheduled for September the 29th with settlement on October the 2nd, and it follows August auction where strong investor demand pushed subscriptions above 300 billion naira. The offer includes 2 reopenings, 100 billion naira August 2030 bond with a 5-year tenor, and 100 billion naira June 2032 bond with a 7-year tenor. Minimum subscription for that is 5,000 naira with units priced at 1,000 naira. Now, according to the DMO, rates will be set by competitive bidding, giving investors an opportunity to lock in medium-term yields. Now we head straight to the domestic equities market, which recorded the first rebound this week and also the first positive close for the week. John Mekwa has the details.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, I come bearing good news today because we see the market closing in the green today. It's been a while since we saw that, yeah? 0.31% and the recovery of the 141,000 level for the oil share. The market cap is still around 89 trillion naira level. And then when we look at the sectors, we see more stories. So that recovery for most of it. GT Zenith Bank, they got some buy interest today. So we see banking is up over 1%. Consumer goods also recovered, and for the first time in a while, oil and gas closed in the green. Look at the top trades, and we see those stocks that were most interesting to investors. Unity Bank, Aradel, and Conhall PLC, they've been moving quite a lot this period, insurance sector. Well, at least we now have the bull back in the market at the close of trade, and congratulations to investors who made some money.
Thank you, Ine. Let's see the snapshot of closing numbers for other major equities now. And that's business news. It's back to Ayotunde for more on the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has received a 5-year jail sentence in Paris after his conviction for criminal conspiracy involving illicit funds from the late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Here's Amin Puser with more on this and other international news in Around the World in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The former French president Nicolas Sarkozy has been sentenced to 5 years in jail after being found guilty of criminal conspiracy in a case related to millions of euros of illicit funds from the late Libyan leader Colonel Gaddafi. The Paris Criminal Court acquitted him of all other charges, including passive corruption and illegal campaign financing. The ruling means he will spend time in jail even if he launches an appeal, which Mr. Sarkozy says he intends to do. Speaking after Thursday's hearing, the 70-year-old, who was president from 2007 to 2012, said the verdict was extremely serious for rule of law.
Naturally, I will appeal. I will probably have to appear handcuffed before the Court of Appeal. Those who hate me so much think they are humiliating me. What they have humiliated today is France. It is the image of France.
Israel has closed the only crossing between the Israeli-occupied West Bank and neighbouring Jordan, stopping more than 2 million Palestinians from accessing the outside world. The Israeli Airports Authority, which oversees the Allenby Bridge crossing, said it would be closed indefinitely from Wednesday morning at the direction of the political leadership. It did not provide a reason why. The closure has stranded many Palestinians in the West Bank who are unable to go on planned trips abroad. Those who are abroad have been unable to travel home. It comes days after 2 Israeli military personnel were shot dead near the crossing by a Jordanian gunman who was killed at the scene. Denmark says drones flown over its airports appear to be the work of a professional actor, but there was no evidence of Russian involvement after such activity disrupted its airspace for the second time in a week. Here, an object seen flying away from Aalborg Airport. 3 smaller airports also reported drone activity. Defence Minister Truls Lund Poulsen told a news conference that the hybrid attack was part of a systematic operation, but said the devices had been launched locally. More than 1,000 children have fallen ill from free school lunches in Indonesia, that's according to authorities, the latest in a string of mass food poisoning events linked to the president's multi-billion-dollar nutritious meals program. The total number of poisoning victims recorded between Monday and Wednesday had reached 1,074. It follows the poisoning of 800 students last week in West Java and central Sulawesi provinces. The French Navy has seized nearly 10 tons of cocaine worth $610 million. That's according to French authorities. 2 French naval vessels intercepted the enormous cocaine haul from an unflagged fishing vessel on Monday, acting on a tip-off from maritime intelligence, anti-drug authorities and the British National Crime Agency. The naval mission has been deployed by France in the Gulf of Guinea since 1990 to ensure security in an area where piracy is fairly common. The French Navy added that 54 tons of drugs had been intercepted in the area since the beginning of the year. Donald Trump has demanded an investigation into what he called a triple sabotage during his visit to the United Nations. In a post on social media, the US president referred to an escalator abruptly stopping as he and First Lady Melania Trump stepped on. A teleprompter also malfunctioned during his speech. The UN previously said a safety mechanism might have been triggered by Mr. Trump's videographer, who had been traveling backwards up the escalator, while the teleprompter belonged to the US delegation.
They're safe today! They live today!
And Canada's Supreme Court has delayed a planned execution of nearly 400 ostriches at a farm in British Columbia over an avian flu outbreak after the farm owners protested the cull order. The Supreme Court of Canada's decision will temporarily halt the planned culling of the birds by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency while the owners appeal. It comes a day after police briefly arrested the owners of Universal Ostrich Farms for obstructing food inspection agents from performing their duties.
And my phone rang, and it was our lawyer, and he said that we won our interim stay order from the Supreme Court of Canada. And so we're just going through that order now and what that means. So we're going to see where that goes.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Vice Chairman, National Sports Commission Shehu Diko and Presidential Spokesman Sunday Dare are confident that Nigeria can win the bid to host the 2030 Commonwealth Games. In an exclusive interview with Channels Television after a successful defense and submission at the Commonwealth Sports Office in London, Mr. Diko and Mr. Dare say that it's time for Africa to be considered.
The Commonwealth bid structure now doesn't want you to be building the infrastructure. They want you to work on what you have, except that what you have is part of your strategic national plan. They want you to work with what you have and upgrade it to the best level because they don't want people spending that humongous amount of money hosting events. It's about the system, you know. So definitely we have Nigeria have some of the biggest, magnificent sporting infrastructure that we can have. So it's just to now upscale it and to get it moving forward.
The bid pitch that I saw today from all angles was very strong. It elevated Nigerian sports. It elevated the strength of the Nigerian economy. But above all, for me, it showed the fact that we have a president who is in tune with sports development and who has made a written commitment to support. And I think that political will in any bid is important.
While FIFA has unveiled the 3 official 2026 FIFA World Cup mascots earlier today, each highlighting one of the host nations of the world's greatest sporting event. Maple the Moose for Canada, Audu, the Jaguar for Mexico, and Clutch, the bald eagle for the United States, have been thoughtfully developed to reflect the vibrant culture, heritage, and spirit of their respective countries, coming together to symbolize unity, diversity, and the shared passion for the beautiful game. Maples, Audu, and Clutch will be everywhere, welcoming the world, inspiring young fans, and cheering on the action during the tournament, which will take place from June the 11th to July the 19th and feature 48 teams for the first.
Many thanks, Chris. And the main news again. The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, has addressed the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, where he pushed for a permanent seat for Nigeria at the UN Security Council. Nigeria's former permanent representative to the United Nations, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, has urged Nigeria to reassert its leadership influence on the global stage. The former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, has challenged new lawyers to uphold the integrity of the legal profession. And the court in Paris has found former French President Nicolas Sarkozy guilty of criminal conspiracy involving millions of euros in illicit funds from former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun, and do have a good night.